It's 10 o'clock, so we'll start now. And welcome everybody. Um, I am very fortunate that we have Kalindi Bakshi with us. And I also would like to make a special introduction and thank to Payal Datta. She's coordinating all our Zoom sessions. So on behalf of World Vegan Vision, I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's webinar. The title is From Plate to Health, Practical Strategies for Whole Food Plant-Based Living. I also wish to thank Plant Powered Metro New York for their support. We are grateful that you have taken the time to join us for this important conversation on health, nutrition, and the power of everyday food choices. Today's session is designed to be practical, informative, and easy to apply in daily life. Our goal is to better understand how whole food, plant based living can support better health, energy, and overall wellness. Before we begin, a small disclaimer. Today's session is only for educational purposes and should not replace your personal medical advice. Please consult your doctor, physician, or healthcare provider for guidance specific to your health condition. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Kalindi Bakshi, PhD. Dr. Bakshi is a scientist, serial entrepreneur, and a plant based living advocate. She is the founder of Plantology Fuel, where she developed whole food plant based product based on the belief that what we eat is most is one of the most powerful tools we have for health. And I can personally vouch because I have tested her delicious food. She also serves as division head for life sciences and food innovation for Middlesex County in New Jersey, where she supports growth and innovation in the food and life sciences sectors. Grounded in neuroscience and nutrition education, Dr. Bakshi has a unique ability to translate complex sciences into practical, accessible guidance. She helps individuals understand how whole food, plant-based living can support nutrition goals, wellness, and chronic health challenges. She is also a former president of New Jersey chapter of World Vegan Vision and a long-time champion of women's wellness and disease prevention through holistic nutrition. Many may also know her from her cooking show, Deliciously Plant-Based, where she inspired people to reimagine what is possible in the kitchen. We are honored to have her with us today for the session From Plate to Health. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Kalindi Bakshi. Kalindi, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Rakesh ji, for this wonderful opportunity. As you know, this is something I'm truly passionate about, and I love any opportunity where I can present my passion and, share information and also learn from these interactions. So today's session is based on, as Rakesh ji mentioned, on practical tips, right? How to follow a whole food plant-based diet, and we will be discussing. I'm going to share the presentation now, but it is also, okay. So the focus is, focus is on how to create a plate of meals that are, number one, nutritious, number two, or number one, I'm going to say tasty, nutritious, and sustainable, right? So having said that, let's jump right in. Okay. And a lot of today's presentation is tailored specifically on, the lot of responses that were received during registration. So I felt that having build the focus of these presentation and responding to queries would be helpful, and hopefully that will clear up so many doubts that people have typically about veganism, or I'm going to specifically focus on whole food plant-based diet. So a lot of you had asked how to build your meals around proteins, or how to fulfill your protein requirement on a whole food plant-based diet. discussing how to reverse, prevent, manage chronic diseases, including type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and have a more healthful or have a better healthy lifespan, right? Also focusing on food as medicine. In today's world where GLP-1s, right? We've seen that there's a big kind of like the growth in that segment that people have started adopting that. So whether you're a believer in lifestyle, managing disease through lifestyle, or managing disease through pharma, right, or medicine, food as medicine is a very, very strong weapon. You use food, of course, and as Rakeshji mentioned that earlier, that you gotta have your physician, your healthcare provider's advice, but using food with whatever you have to do with your lifestyle. If you have a type 2 diabetes, if you have heart disease, food can be a game changer, and it is a game changer. Then we'll be talking about how to create habits that stick, how to create habits that are long-term sustainable. And then going into more practical application, like how to create these meals that are number one taste, no matter what. I can talk to you about so many healthy ingredients, so many health benefits, but if it doesn't taste good, it's not going through. So those are the few things that we'll be talking about today. And the questions will be on the chat. Please keep posting your questions as we go along. And towards the end, when we get a chance, we'll get to the questions. So having said that, let's dive right in. So what is whole food plant-based living? So whole food plant-based lifestyle is, veganism is simply meaning avoiding any animal products, dairy, anything that comes from animals it's avoided in a vegan diet. However, a vegan diet can still be full of oil, full of oil, refined or ultra processed foods, packaged foods. Just giving a simple example, French fries are vegan. It's potatoes fried in oil. However, whole food plant-based diet goes a step further. It goes a little further than, and it centers around what is minimally processed, foods that are closest in their natural form. So I just gave an example of French fries. So a potato is perfectly great if you eat it baked, if you can, boil it, add some spices to it. It's perfectly great, whole food.
Kalindi, you are mute.
Kalindi,
You
you
are mute.
somehow got on mute, so unmute yourself. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Let me. I don't know how that happened.
Okay. Good now?
Yeah, now good. Yeah, sorry.
When did I get to mute?
Just when you started talking about the plant-based whole food, from that point onward. But you're okay. We heard you. We heard you.
Okay. So whole food plant-based diet essentially is minimally processed, eating minimally processed food, choosing foods that are closest to their original form. And here I'm just example is apple juice versus apple, right? A baked potato or a boiled potato versus fried French fries. And whole food plant-based diet makes plants, or which is fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seed, as the center of every meal. And another thing in whole food plant-based diet is either avoiding oil, sugar, and salt, or using that to minimal.
Okay.
However, flavors can be added, like spices are perfectly whole food plant-based. Herbs, all of those can be added to add flavor to the
So,
food.
Kalindi, what about cooking?
Sorry.
What about cooking something? Let's say if you cook
So,
potato.
so typically, if we're talking about fruits and vegetables, right, in their raw form, most are have the most hold the most nutrition. However, some of the fruits or some of the vegetables, they when they are cooked, they release some enzymes which actually they help break down or digest food and also help create enzymatic activity within your system. So either, like, in the raw form, I would say spinach, greens, they hold the most nutrition. But when you cook them, you lose a little nutrition, but you know what? It's give and take. Now you want to enjoy certain flavors, you can, you want to cook them, you do it. But I would say enjoy greens, typically greens, enjoy them raw. Make even with smoothie, that you could smoothie, you lose little bit nutrition because you are now processing it, right? A little the speed, the heat of the blenders, they do it. So ideally greens, I prefer greens in their raw form, but a lot of vegetables, yes, losing nutrition a little bit, but depending on how your form of how you prefer eating. Uh, the least preferred way to me is frying something, or cooking vegetables to the point that they become mushy. So that's where you lose more and more. The more you cook them, the more you lose kind of nutrients. However, fiber is something that will still be there while cooking. So Rakeshji, I think it's kind of balancing it. So depending on what your preference is, but I prefer my greens, no, without cooking.
Thank you.
Okay. And the third point, oil, sugar, salt. Either I would say to the minimal. Um, or there are spices you can add to enhance flavor. Oil, I think you can completely avoid in most of the cooking. You can use water to cook, you can use different cooking techniques uh, to avoid using oil. And one of the reasons why it is when you are looking at caloric value of food, oil, less oil has higher is higher on the caloric side, you know, compared to vegetables, fruits. So caloric density wise, also oil not, and also, like, we all know, depending on what kind of oil you use, depending on how much you use, it is not really healthy.
So, Kalindi, one question. We had Dr. Chhajer who speak a lot about zero oil cooking.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on it?
Uh, See, there are different schools of thoughts, and I think, to me, the zero oil cooking is a great way if you are looking to number one, your goal is heart healthy, creating heart healthy foods, right? But I do recommend using some fat, some healthy fat, which healthy fats includes nuts, seeds, avocado, right? Healthy fats. So including some healthy fat in diet, and they're also fats are also essential for metabolic processing of food. But oil, I don't think it is requirement for flavor.
Mm.
If that is what we are typically used to, just I think it's a mindset, right, Rakeshji,
Mm.
that if being cooking Indian, you need a tadka with oil, but you can necessarily have a tadka, just roast the spices and put little oil, sorry, put little water in cooking while you're sauteing onions. It is perfectly fine, and you trust me, you do not lose any flavor.
Right.
Your spices are your flavor palette, not really oil. So if you best to avoid, but a little bit is okay once in a while.
Okay, thank you.
So going back to our whole food plant-based diet. So, just a little brief on what like micro and micronutrients. You must have heard the word macros, right? So, what are macronutrients? Macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are the larger part of our nutrition or nutrients, and they are the building block. So, all cells in our body, each and every cell in our body is built with carbohydrate, fats, and proteins. The micronutrients are the primary fuel for energy. So carbohydrates being the highest in the amount, between 40 to 60% of our meals or our diet or our nutrition comes from carbohydrates because they are the immediate source of energy. Proteins, the next one, protein is the building blocks of cells. It builds tissues. It is part of a lot of enzymatic action that happens in our metabolic system. So protein is extremely essential for building cells, building tissue, repair in our body, and then fats. Fats support hormones, fats support nutrient absorption. And then, fats are essential again, just like proteins, they are essential for processing micronutrients, which is the next category. So micronutrients are the key vitamins, minerals, essential that are essential for our healthy immune system. They're essential for building healthy bones. Vitamin B12, again, some of the key nutrients that we can obtain from, or we should be looking to obtain from our diet. Vitamin B12, vitamin D, iodine, omega-3 fatty acids. Again, they come from fats, and also omega-3 fat. When on a whole food plant-based diet, when you are trying to get omega-3, they're high in fiber, and also there's some amount of protein in it. Iron is again essential micronutrient that you should watch and make sure you incorporate in your diet. Calcium, another one, and all these sources can be obtained from a whole food plant-based diet. In fact, micronutrients, whole food plant-based diet is rich in micronutrients. In that, I'll specifically point to two. A whole food plant-based diet may not have enough vitamin B12. So if you're on a whole food plant-based diet, or I think typically any diet, now I've also heard that omnivorous diet, also a lot of people have vitamin B12 deficiency. So you have to make sure, talk to your provider, make sure you have your blood work and you understand what level of vitamin B12 you need. And that is something that is supplemented. Right. And one of the sources, I think, what vitamin B12, great sources, is also adding nutritional yeast to your foods. So a couple of tablespoons of nutritional yeast to sprinkling it on your salad it's very rich in vitamin B12. Now, where does vitamin B12 come from? It actually comes from plants. However, we don't have capacity to break down a lot of nutrients when we eat, and we don't eat grass, sorry. So for the animals who graze, eat grass, right, or eat plants, their body breaks down this nutrients, and vitamin B12 is one of the sources of animals get from plants. However, our body cannot do that directly. So it's great. It's one of the things that you should supplement. And why it is necessary, vitamin B12 is necessary for nerve function, for energy. So make sure you watch those levels and make sure if you need to supplement it. Then vitamin D. Vitamin D essentially is available or made from exposure to sunlight. Now, it's great. It's one of the things that has always been there, that you make sure that you expose yourself to sunlight, take a walk in the nature, but that may not give you enough vitamin D. People living, especially in the Northeast, we have months that we are not, we don't go out or get sunlight. And even if vitamin D, something that I've heard is people living in the South, even if you're outside, it's just not enough. So that is something that may not be
Yeah.
supplemented depending on the blood work, depending on your physician's advice.
Yeah.
Other nutrients, I think a whole healthy whole food plant-based diet you can easily obtain those, and just ensuring that you have variety on your plate, right, will give you all the essential macronutrients and micronutrients on a whole food plant-based diet. Now, let's talk about how to ensure that your plate, your whole food plant-based, when you are looking at whole food plant-based, how should your plate be filled, right? Um, so just simplifying it, a very easy way to understand this is half of the plate uh, should have a variety, a color, a rainbow of non-starchy vegetables. Non-starchy vegetables are greens, peppers, cruciferous veggies like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, peas. There's plenty of variety that to pick from, carrots, squashes. So half of the plate should be filled with non-starchy. One fourth of your plate should have some form of whole food plant-based protein. And we'll go later. I will talk about different sources of whole food plant-based protein, but just to few: beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh.
Mhm.
Uh, so these are some of the sources of a whole food plant-based protein. And then one fourth of the plate should be filled with whole grains or complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates include whole grains like quinoa, brown rice, farro, barley. And there is a plenty. When you go in the supermarket, look at the natural food aisles, you will find a variety of whole grains that you can pick from. And one thing I want to really, really stress upon is when you are eating whole food plant-based diet, you have to make sure that your plate looks like a rainbow. So variety is the key. So to ensure that you are getting all your macros and micronutrients,
Mhm.
keep switching your veggies, keep switching your beans, lentils, or legumes, and also have a variety of different whole grains. One of the things that I'm going to share with you is I usually have a mixed, I usually mixed different lentils, and also
Yeah.
add
Yeah.
quinoa to it. So this becomes my base for any lentil stew or dal if I'm making. Or what I would do is I soak these lentils, and then I soak them overnight, blend them, make it into a batter, and make crepes. Like to call the
Mhm.
dosa, chilla. And so this really, like, having just the variety of beans, or sorry, having variety of lentils mixed with quinoa, essentially helps you gain all the nutrition from different kind of plant sources,
Right.
right? Uh,
Kalindi, what about millets?
Millets are that's also a great source of nutrition, right? Millets you can add. I think I have added millets to this too.
Okay.
So you can add millets to this. And sometimes what Rakeshji, people often say quinoa. Oh my God, I don't like quinoa. But with what happens, quinoa is, I like to call it a blank canvas. uh,
Oh.
you can add it to anything. Yes, it will take the taste of any stew, any dal that you make, anything, like if you're making uh, just example, if you're making, I make my version of poha is I use oats with it, right? And I tend to add like one fourth cup of quinoa, cooked quinoa to that. So anything I make, like, when you're making, I make a lot of burgers. So again, half cup of cooked quinoa to it. So that gives, you get that nutrition with quinoa, and you don't really have to go into, okay, you eating like just cooked quinoa. No. So
Mhm.
things like quinoa and tofu, I consider them as a blank canvas. You paint whatever or add it to anything that you're eating, right? And it gives you your extra nutrients. So
Thank you.
going back to our plate, the same formula: half plate full of non-starchy vegetables, one fourth plate protein, and one fourth plate whole grains or complex carbohydrates, right? And you can use the same formula when you're creating any meal. So in Indian meal, if we are doing a typical Indian meal of a vegetable, and one thing I would say, like, we tend to, or maybe it's just us, I come from Gujarat, we tend to cook vegetables a lot. So avoid overcooking vegetables. Try to keep them as much as possible in their normal form, right? Or in their whole form. Dal, try when you're cooking dal or lentils, uh, cook add the recommended water amount required to cook the dal. Don't make it watery. Don't add more water to it, because then you're diluting the protein. When you eat watery dal, you are losing a lot of nutrition there, right? Or you're not getting more nutrition out of it. So if, for
Right.
example, if you're cooking yellow lentils, moong dal, the recommended protein is recommended water while cooking it is, the idea is to soak the dal for a little longer time. Soak it for half an hour, and then cook it with 2 cups or 2.5 cups of water. And that's where, like, you'll get bulk of the dal and not water, right? So something like that, if you eat 1 cup or 8 ounces of dal, you'll get between 12 to 15 grams of protein. Now, to that, if you add 1/4 cup or half cup of quinoa or brown rice, you're going to get 5 to 6 grams of protein. So now in this meal, and then add your vegetable to it. So, there's the same formula like Mediterranean. If you're making a Mediterranean bowl, in our household, we make a lot of bowls, right? So you put layer of greens down, add a cup of chickpeas, and you can flavor the chickpeas with herbs like, za'atar. You squeeze lemon juice in it, and then you add like 1/4 cup of quinoa here again. So now you're building your bowl or building your meals on proteins. And by the way, you're getting your greens there, right? You start the plate with the greens and then build upon that.
Mhm.
Similarly, Mexican bowl, you can add peppers to it. Make sure that you have a bowl of green, black beans. So you can use the same formula applied to any meal on any cuisine that you're making. So build your meals on proteins, your meals on vegetables. First, start with vegetables and build it as you go along. Right?
Mhm.
So one of the questions that came up most on
Questions.
the forums was protein. Protein. Where is my protein? As I have been saying along the presentation, that protein is, when you are eating or when you are focusing on a whole food plant-based plate, protein is in everything that you eat. You don't have to worry about a very specific, like, how in omnivorous diet, the protein portion, people often have like, okay, I'm going to have my protein, 3 ounces of this and whatever, 5 ounces of that. In whole food plant-based diet, when you start building your plate, uh, starting with non-starchy vegetables, yes, they do have protein. Then when you have your portion of quote unquote, portion of beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, whole grains, everything has protein, right? So focus on variety. That's one thing with whole food plant-based diet. Variety is the key, and variety is the flavor. So eat a variety of plant foods, and think about, like, when you eat a variety throughout the day, you will have a complete amino acid profile or a complete nutrient profile. So, legumes, yes, often people say, hey, you're eating plant-based, you're a vegetarian, you're not getting complete protein. You're vegan, you're not getting complete protein. That is not true. If you eat variety, there is no way you're going to miss any nutrient from anything.
Mhm.
So variety is the key. Eat a variety of vegetables, variety of fruits, variety of legumes. And to me, as I say, this is like, a cheat sheet, a good way of ensuring that I have everything in. If I'm making a dal, then this has all the legumes in it. And then if I'm making khichdi, I use the same formula. And what I do is I add this wild rice to it, It, and this the wild rice, this is a combination of red, brown, sweet brown rice, wild rice, and red rice. So a different variety of rice rather than my plain white rice. If you prefer white rice, that is, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It is just that this has a brown rice has a little more, has more fiber in it. So
This
and
wild blend, where do you buy it?
I get it from I get it from either ShopRite or any
Okay,
grocery store has it. You just
okay,
have to
okay.
look in the rice aisle. This is a little hidden. And what I find great about this when I am, whenever you make khichdi or any, even if you replace it as regular, it's very hearty. It's very filling. So, having something like it gives you a sense of fullness. I personally like, of course, I love white rice, but to me, it doesn't fill me up. And when I have, many of my friends and family have tried this, and somehow everyone has like, this notion that, oh, you're not going to give me white rice. When they try this, nobody misses that. So just a little cheat sheet, like, when I'm trying to make something, I try to make sure the meal is hearty and it has different variety, and also like, adding variety to your diet, right? So um, most of, so when we think of building the plate, please remember that whole food plant-based plate, when you focus on variety, you will get your proteins, you will get your fats, you will get your complex carbohydrates. um, let's move on. Okay, so some practical tips, like how do I build my plate around protein, right? So adding chickpeas or any kind of beans, right? So I make, our staple is when for sandwiches, wraps, we make something called chickpea tuna wrap or chickpea tuna salad. So chickpea tuna salad is essentially mushing chickpeas, adding a little bit of vegan mayo. If you do not want to add vegan mayo, it's perfectly fine. I use a little bit of cashew paste. Like, cashew paste is cashews and water, just blend them together and make a cashew paste. So it makes it a little bit creamy. Add vegetables like fine chopped vegetables like celery, carrots, bell pepper, whatever you like. So put them in. Add herbs. I like parsley, cilantro, any herbs, and add a little bit of mustard. It gives a little kick. You can add paprika to it. You can add roasted cumin powder. So and mix it together. It makes a wonderful spread for any wraps, any sandwiches, and it's filling and hearty, right? So this is an easy to go. Well, you are thinking of meals between work, taking it to lunch, and even for kids, right? They also enjoy this kind of meals that are more sandwich or wrap like. Quinoa and edamame bowl. Another one of our favorite is edamame. You can get them frozen. Frozen edamame, mix it with quinoa, and we make a quick dressing. I make quick dressing, no oil-free dressing. The base is cashew with it, cashew, cilantro, lime, jalapeno, salt, garlic, makes wonderful dressing. So
So,
quinoa.
Kalindi, we can add this slide to a thank you mail that we'll be sending to everybody. Is it possible for us to do that so people
Sure,
can?
I can share the slide with you, and
Okay.
we could do
And
that.
also some recipe to that effect because I know you have a lot of good collection of recipes.
Yes, sure. And we will
Okay.
be talking recipes in
No, I know, but I'm just saying that when we send a thank you mail, we can. Okay, perfect, great, thank you.
Sure. So these are just a few ideas on how to have your protein on the go and not keep obsessing over the thought that, oh, I'm missing any protein,
Right,
right?
right. Okay.
So what should we actually eat, right? So I'm just sharing something that I do on a daily basis, and hopefully that will help understand, like, the grams, if we are thinking putting number to the protein. So I will share a little, my little secret overnight oats that has been a staple in our family for a very long time. And I'm going to show you a little bit, and I think nothing beats seeing
Yes.
something visually. And this is how much this is like a typical bowl that I eat for breakfast or brunch or lunch. And what does this have? It has half a cup of oats, rolled oats, 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, um, one majdool date, have 5 to 6 walnuts, right? Raisins. And for flavor, I have cinnamon. I add cinnamon to it. Just mix it all together in a bowl, just like this, and add half a cup or 3/4 cup of almond milk and
Or soya milk.
or soy milk, almond milk or soy milk. And this is how much. And then you put it in the refrigerator overnight. And this is my daily grind. Put it in the refrigerator overnight, and then in the morning add some fresh fruits to it. I This is about, I would say, about 12 to 15 grams of protein right here.
Uh-huh.
And the best thing is fiber here.
Mhm.
No other meal, no other besides whole food plant-based, no other meal has fiber. No animal protein. Animal protein does not have fiber. Only whole food plant-based diet is filled with soluble and insoluble fiber. So this is one of the things that I challenge you, Rakeshji, I can tell you, like, if you are going to eat that, you will be full for rest of the day until your next meal. So, and
Yeah. Well, my son and my daughter-in-law introduced us to this. We have been eating it before, but we never made it home. And now we also put acai berries into it,
oh
and it gives
yeah.
it a very nice color to it. Frozen berries. I love mangoes, so we put chopped mangoes, frozen mangoes on top of it, and let it sit in the fridge overnight.
So, like I said, this is my blank slate, Rakeshji, and you can
I
add anything to it, right?
Yes.
Sometimes I add, I love coffee, so I add cold brew. I add cold brew to it, and then you can add chocolate chips to it, right? Dark chocolate chips, coffee
Fantastic.
and chocolate chips. So this is a blank slate on which you build on whatever you like. You add to this. Then a lunch, chickpea, or usually I will say I can I don't I eat this. I have a smoothie in the morning, a
Uh-huh.
big smoothie in the morning. This is my lunch. This ends up being lunch. After that, I just go directly to dinner. But if you are in if you think lunch, think about adding chickpeas. Think about adding having lentils. That is your 20 grams of proteins. 20 gram, I'll say 8 ounces of a bowl of lentils or chickpeas, and add half a cup of cooked quinoa. That is your 20-gram protein. And you know what's my best friend, Rakesh ji? I keep this handy.
Oh, yes.
It's always on my kitchen.
Yeah.
Initially when you are doing this, and if you are trying to measure things and trying to eat certain quantity, use this. It really is very helpful. And after a while, you will understand the quantities. And the
Mhm.
other things I love is this. It's always in my kitchen,
Yes.
because the idea is you want to make sure, if you think that you're not getting enough protein, or you want to make sure that you're eating you're eating consistently a certain amount, these tools really help.
Well, I don't know anyone that is protein deficient. I
No,
know
I
people with
agree
B12
100%.
deficiency and other deficiency, but nobody that I know is protein. So it's a hype created by the meat and dairy industry to sell their products more. So, all right, no, fantastic. I think you covered
Yes.
very well on protein part. So,
Yes.
thank you.
So, next one, just again to give you an idea of a whole food plant-based, just if you want to put numbers to it, a sample menu which can make up to 76 grams of protein. Since there are a lot of questions about protein, Rakesh ji, I felt like
I know, I saw that too. Yes.
address that. So, and I'll be sharing the presentation so you can look through all the ingredients. I've made sure that, the numbers and proteins and gram, putting approximate, but they will come up to
Right.
76, 80
Right.
grams.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, another question was about how to support healthy blood sugar, right? How to, for individuals who are trying to, who have type 2 diabetes, trying to work on their A1C level. What would be a diabetes friendly eating? And at this point, I'm going to mention again, then these are just general guidelines and strategies that you can make part of, but please do not use this as a treatment plan. Consult your physician, your nutritionist, if there is any major concern. But just like I said before, building your meals around complex carbohydrates. Now, complex carbohydrates are a great source, number one source of fiber in your meals. So, building your meals around whole grains, beans, vegetables, they help. And why is fiber or complex carbohydrate important here, right? Especially when we are thinking of blood sugar, maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, because fiber or complex carbohydrates, they take a long time to digest. They stay within your GI tract, and it slows down, or it slows down sorry it slows down the digestion process, and so it keeps a constant blood sugar level rather than creating spikes.
It's fine.
Okay, so uh, where it's very important to include fiber in your diet, fiber from whole sources in your diet when you're looking at blood sugar, and looking at healthy blood sugar level. And another thing I'll tell you, when fiber goes through your gut, when it goes through a digestive system, what it does, it has this brushing movement. It
Oh, okay.
scrapes all the dead cells. It removes also certain amount of fat from your from walls of your intestine. So
Mhm.
that creates like healthy bowel movement. Also, fiber supports gut health, right? We're also looking at gut health. Lately, there's a big hype on prebiotics, probiotics, and how to include that in your diet. If you are practicing whole food plant-based diet,
Mhm.
I can guarantee you do not need additional probiotics or prebiotics.
Oh, absolutely. And
Right?
also the fibers, like you said, Kalindi ji, they support the gut bacteria.
Yeah.
It's a food
Yes.
for them.
Yep. Yep. Beans, if you're eating beans, beans ferment in your gut, and that
Yes.
fermentation supports the healthy gut microbiome. So, one thing, if you are working towards preventing, managing, or reversing type 2 diabetes, fiber is your best friend.
Okay.
Eat whole fruits instead, avoid in any way, every way, avoid refined sugars. Eat whole fruits. People believe that, oh, diabetic shouldn't have fruits because it has sugar. That is a
Mhm.
very different kind of sugar. The sugar that you get from whole foods or fruits comes with fiber.
Mhm.
So, eating fruits, different kind of fruits, and eating rather than drinking fruit juice, which is devoid of fiber. And so in all ways, eat berries. You include a lot of berries in your diet. Include starches, which are whole, or sorry, complex carbohydrates, like whole, I would, for if you're looking at A1C, reducing A1C, instead of rolled oats, I would include steel cut oats, which are more intact. So again, choose whole grains over any refined grains, steel cut oats, quinoa, farro, brown rice, instead of any refined carbohydrates.
Mhm. Kalindi, they also say that if you're boiling a potato or if you have boiled rice, you put it in the fridge overnight.
Yes, it breaks down the starches.
Okay.
So
So it's better for people with the diabetes.
diabetes,
Okay.
yes, you can always, your typical starch, you can cook it the day before, put it in the refrigerator. It breaks down the starches, and it is better. So that's what they're saying. You could definitely practice that.
Okay.
So, so in general, consider fiber as your best friend, or fiber as key for the diet. If you are looking to eat more diabetic friendly, trying to create a diabetic friendly plate. Just a sample meal, again, sample menu. What would you include if you meal that would support healthy blood sugar levels? As I said before, try to eat a whole grain. So oats, there are steel cut oats, there is rolled oats, and then there are quick cooking oats. So if you are trying to support blood sugar, healthy blood sugar levels, go for the grain that is more intact. And in this case, steel cut oats would be more intact. So this is just a sample example. And Not just for supporting or diet. This is not just support, not for diabetic friends. This is for everyone. Anyone can eat this and support blood sugar levels.
Mhm.
Okay. Similarly, heart healthy plate strategies, right? So heart healthy is say lean onto fiber. Fiber is your best friend. As I said earlier, fiber scrapes off fats, extra fat. Fiber scrapes off dead cells from your gut and makes a really, really, and gives your gut a really healthy microbiome.
Mhm.
Load up on veggies. Load up on leafy greens, include spinach, kale, collard green. And now, these days you can also find a super green, a package of super green, one of those big packages
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
get from either Costco, BJ's. They had their super green, so includes all greens in it.
Yes.
And when I'm cooking, sometimes my equivalent of tofu, palak, I try to use all the greens rather than just sticking to spinach.
Tofu palak. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And heart healthy food, again, go easy on sodium. Whole food plant-based diet focuses on, and plants have sodium, right? Your vegetables naturally have sodium. So adding a little spice to it, or sometimes squeezing lemon or lime on your fruit, that will help replace add additional salt in your foods.
Okay.
So one of my things that again, when I showed you my go-to overnight oats, just for people who are protein conscious, I'm sharing this recipe, and I consider this like as a whole meal, because think about it. You have your complex carbohydrate, which comes from oats, yeah, rolled oats. We have the plant-based milk. You use soy milk. It could be good, great source of protein. We have chia seeds. Chia seeds are a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Adding flax meal, another great source of ALA, and in your diet, which is healthy fat. As fiber, and like for as a sweetener, I add raisins, whole raisins, again, whole, and then one date. And Majdool date, as you guys know, it's bigger than the traditional date. So one date, and it's sweeter than the other date. So just one date, you just need one date, and it makes the entire bowl sweet. And for flavor, cinnamon. Add cinnamon, you can add shred. So again, this is a blank slate recipe, but just to give you an idea, because I had, Rakesh ji, I have Plantology fuel was we used to make, produce ready to eat foods. And that's why I have all nutrition, have
Right.
all the recipes have nutrition in that, kind of nutrition facts in there. So this is to give you an idea that this is a whole meal in itself. You don't need anything else with this. You will get your good fats, you will get your complex carbohydrates, and you will get your protein.
Perfect. Perfect.
Right?
Yeah. Very nice.
And just to give you a side by side comparison, our overnight oats versus a standard sad breakfast. uh, you know, Other numbers, let's just focus on two numbers. Here you can see this is just one large egg. 62% cholesterol. And look at our whole food plant-based super breakfast.
Zero.
Zero, zero. So plant foods, remember, do not have cholesterol. All animal products have cholesterol, because cholesterol is a necessary element, is a necessary part of all the animal cells. We cannot live without cholesterol. So any animal diet, any and every, including dairy, it has cholesterol. Whole food plant-based diet has zero cholesterol. And look at the fiber.
Kalindeji, one thing you forgot to circle the protein. Protein 6 gram versus 10 grams.
Yes, 6 gram versus 10 grams.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
But
for sharing it.
this is what I wanted to show the most, the
Yes.
comparing most on
Yes.
the
Yes.
fiber part, because when we are talking about blood sugar, maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, heart health, the focus is on getting most
Yes.
amount of fiber in your diet,
Yes.
right?
I agree. I agree.
And just
Fantastic.
two,
Thank you.
and in both the things, cholesterol supporting our heart to support our health, the whole food plant-based diet is zero. And when you look at cholesterol in just one egg, it's 62%.
Wow.
And diet, dietary fiber, supporting our blood sugar, zero in one egg.
Right, right.
Compared to that, 54% of dietary fiber just by eating this half a
Right.
cup of oats, right? So this
Very
is
true.
side by side comparison and stark differences in maybe you can see the stark differences right there. Another example, as I had promised that I'll talk more recipes and more practical tips is burger, a whole food plant-based burger. This is absolutely, look at all the ingredients: chickpeas, quinoa, gluten-free oats, vegetables, onions, you add greens to it. What I like to make here is, because it's hard, sometimes it becomes hard to bind, and also to add extra punch of nutrition, I make flex egg, which is made by flex meal and mixing flex meal and water. So it makes ingredients, it acts like a binder. And our binder has zero cholesterol compared to when you use egg as binder, and it has plenty of fiber and healthy fatty acids in that.
Yes.
So and when we're thinking plant-based, people always think that it's expensive. Total cost, this is a little bit, now I probably add 50 cents more to it. This is 2 years ago I created this, but at $2.50 for 4 burgers.
Wow. Very
It's
cheap.
packed with nutrition. And
Very
look at
natural.
the protein, 11 gram protein, and calorie wise too. And here, when you make this, you don't have to use oil. Another great thing, really, you do not need any oil in this. When you're just make sure the pan is hot when you're putting the burgers on. This is a zero oil recipe, right?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Uh, all this conversation, all this presentation brings me to one thing, that this is whole food plant-based diet is food as medicine, right? Uh, on a whole food plant-based diet, again, reinforcing the fact that eat a variety. When you eat a variety, you will have the best gut microbiome you
Yep.
can ever think of, right? Your gut microbiome feeds off what you eat. And when you eat a whole food plant-based diet, it creates this amazing pool of bacteria, the flora in your intestine, right, in your GI system, which you will not have to rely on any probiotics, any supplements for that. Then think about having 50% of your caloric intake
Mhm.
as vegetables, fruits, whole grains. And this eating pattern supports a very strong immune system, and it supports gut health. It supports also brain health, right? Your brain, and we know that your brain and gut are connected. Your gut is your second nervous system. Most of the neurotransmitters in your brain, one of them I can tell you, it's serotonin, which regulates mood, anxiety, satiety. 90% of serotonin is produced in your digestive tract. So, feeding your digestive tract with a whole food plant-based diet only supports great, not only only your body, but it supports your brain. Um, and you will easily, on a whole food plant-based diet, you'll easily get a serving of 5 fruits and vegetables. So building a pattern of eating around whole foods, minimally processed foods, avoiding ultra processed food is consistently has been associated with lower heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, and also it adds healthful years
Mhm.
to your life, right? It's about the quality of life, not the quantity. Quantity is that we don't have control over, but we do
Right.
have control over quality of
Right.
life.
Right.
We don't have control over genetics, but we do have control over something called epigenetics, right?
Yeah.
Our environment, our lifestyle, they affect our genes. Rakeshji, I don't remember who said this, but genetics is a loaded gun. Lifestyle pulls the trigger,
Ah, ah, ah.
right? I
Right. I think one of this similar I heard is that genes are the loaded guns, but the
guns
diet pulls it.
pulls the trigger. So
Right. Right.
lifestyle pulls the trigger, right? So yeah, so remember that you have no control over your genes, but you
Yes.
do have control over what goes
Very
inside,
powerful. Very powerful. Yes.
right? And just I'm citing some research studies. Being a scientist, I always rely on good science. not on hearsay, not on just opinions or view, but there are plenty of research
That's
studies
very
that
nice. Very nice.
show that lifestyle changes, including low-fat plant-based diet, lead to measurable reversal of coronary artery disease, lowering cholesterol, blood pressure. Done from these Dean Ornish's lab, Dr. Esselstein, Dr. Barnard, many studies, and it continues. These studies still continues. Solid science has shown, and that whole food plant-based diet does have significant impact on preventing, managing, and reversing disease.
Okay, perfect.
Uh, what else can I do? I'm drinking smoothies each day. Can you suggest something else that I can do? Yes, it is challenging if on a whole food plant-based diet you keep repeating the same thing. Yes, it gets boring. And again, as I said, variety is the key. You're missing a lot of nutrients if you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Try rotating your veggies in the smoothie, or rotate your fruits in your smoothies. Frozen veggies are perfectly okay. They're perfectly okay. You're not losing any nutrients when you're having, adding frozen fruits or frozen veggies.
Mhm.
Techniques matter a lot. How you cook your food, continuously just cooking on the stove, making mushy vegetables may not be,
Mhm.
may get boring. Vegetables have a lot of texture. We are used to hearing that meat has textures. Only meat has textures, which is not true. Vegetables, the way you cook them, you roast them, you saute them, bake them, they create variety of textures in vegetables. And try to do, like, braising. Again, braising is another technique. Cook them in a kind of a sauce or a liquid. It creates a different texture and flavor. Build flavor, use spices, herbs, build oil-free dressings or oil-free batch of oil-free sauces, right? That also helps a great deal in building flavor profile. Borrow from different cuisines of the world. Every cuisine, I haven't heard any cuisine that does not have or does not have vegan or whole food plant-based recipes. So
Right.
from other cuisines, use other cuisine spices, use other flavorings, right? On my recent trip to Japan, I learned so many things about, like, there's tofu skin that is used in soups and stews. And there are different kind of spices, or I want to say different kind of flavorings that are added to make food delicious. As I mentioned, that flavor comes from spices, herbs, and that you do not need sugar or salt or oil to increase or add flavor to food. You can very well caramelize vegetables. You can bake or roast vegetables to create that flavor profile. Add citrus to that. Add vinegars. Vinegars are good. Red wine vinegar, white vinegar, rice vinegar. All the vinegars also help give you that salty taste, salty or umami taste. You can use coconut aminos, replace soy sauce with coconut aminos. That is much a better option than soy sauce. Instead of cooking, when you're sauteing onions or tomatoes, use water, use vegetable broth. Low sodium vegetable broth is another amazing way to give flavor to veggies or to any of your grains. Okay. Key to this is building habits, right? How do you build habits that actually stick? To novice, to people who have been looking to do this, start just with one meal. And to me, if you're going to start with one meal, try the oats. Try that breakfast. Try those oats for breakfast, right? Try to add different variety to the same thing. You could use similar base, but try to add different fruits to it. If we're talking about the whole making an oat bowl, add peanut butter to it one day, add coffee, cold brew to it, like, different ways of the same meal, including different ingredients. But starting with one meal will give you the confidence. Another of something I have been doing for years is prep. Meal prep is my way to go through the week. Yes, it takes time, but your health, your time is worth. everything. It's so much worth spending that time on a Sunday. So Sunday morning, this is typically my time to do meal prep. I wake up early. I have my mother-in-law, my 85-year-old mother-in-law, who will sit and chop vegetables and help me with meal prep, and include family. Like my kids would help me. My husband also kind of like he gets roped into it. So as a family, we make sure that we have healthy meals throughout the week. Weekdays is busy. Rakesh knows my work hours are 12 to 14 hours. So it's not, my day
Yeah.
starts at 4 a.m. and ends whenever I get home. But with whatever life brings you, you got to invest that time in yourself. Nobody is going to do it for you. And it is never too late to start that. So, we always think about our financial investment, right? Rakesh ji, you are in that field.
Yep.
Like, how do we invest so that our future is secured? And same uh, theory, same philosophy should apply to what you eat, because you are what you eat, and that is majority of what you do. So spending 3 4 hours on a Sunday morning preparing for the week, honestly, it's a very small investment in your health, in yourself. So
Yes. Thank you.
make sure something that have a prep day. To start with, use an 80-20 approach. 80% of your meals, you can make them whole food. 20%, you will become 100%. First, start with 80%. Don't stress over, mm, habit over perfection. That's what I say. Make sure you create this habit, and then you'll perfect whatever recipe it is, whatever it is. So start building those habits. Use an approach that works for you, and you will get to it, right? Invest in yourself. This is the only way, or I think this is the best way to give yourself a health span. Okay, and find a community. Uh,
World Vegan Vision.
World Vegan Vision is an amazing community. We have physicians who are part of it. We have veterans like Rakesh ji. We have Avinash ji is right here on the
Yep.
call. We are a group which we love bringing more members and bringing more uh, enthusiasts in. So
PPMNY is a good source. Plant.
yes, Plant Powered Metro New York is an amazing way to kickstart if you are looking to kickstart.
Yes.
Join their Kickstart program. 21 days, you
Jumpstart. Yeah. 21
Jumpstart,
days jump.
sorry, Rakesh, Jumpstart program. 21 days Jumpstart, that will give you a flavor of how to get started. And
Yeah.
it's a handheld. They are mentors. Rakesh ji and I are also mentors
Yeah.
in that program. It is a hand holding, like, they'll handhold and you walk through it. So many ways to get started. Uh, you are all here today, so you know why you're here for: eating well and and sustainably, right? Plan forward meals generally use less land, water, and generate fewer emissions. They're green. They're friendly to the environment, and also one of the things that is compassion, right? Whole food plant-based meals bring compassion to
Yes.
every bite, every meal, everything that you eat. Everything that you eat is devoid of animal products. We are in hand with our planet, right? So another thing is, people often ask organic, non or regular. I say yes, try to eat organic if you can. But to me, not everything available, not every time it's available or feasible. There's also a list of dirty dozens. So vegetables that have more, it's better to eat those organic. I would say greens,
Yeah.
berries. They are better off your, having them organic. Buying seasonal, eat fruit
Correct.
that is seasonal, in season. Mangoes. I know it's mango season right now. So eat fruits that are in season, and also reduce food waste. With whole food plant based, one of the things we do is, whenever I use, for example, some of the veggies, right? I leave their stems. Their stems go in smoothies, the stems, or like a lot of things that you can recycle, many different ways to use, not to waste for produce. Or great thing is just buy that you as much as you need. Um, we are all tempted to go to this big wholesale stores and buy products in wholesale. And I don't know. I personally don't do things that are going to go to waste. I don't buy from there. Right.
Yeah, so Kalindiji, now you mentioned Avinashi, which is a great supporter of well-being and vision.
Mhm.
And also we have Dr. Srinivas Rao. He is an expert on many things, but one of his
Yes.
favorite talk that I would like to invite him next time is lentils. And I hope that
Oh,
you can join us. He is an expert on lentils. He has a chart at his home, like 80 different, 90 different kind of lentils. So we'll need
right.
to do that one day with him.
So yeah, I know we are over time, but one
Yeah,
thing I wanted to
yes.
share with you guys is this. This is my secret weapon. Full of it's a high protein tofu, so more protein than the regular tofu. In 3 ounce, it's about 15 grams of protein, right? So I try to build my meals around quinoa tofu, making them like, making sure that not just protein, but we are getting like a complete amino acid profile, and then just 3 slices of this is my tandoori tofu. What I do is I create a tandoori paste like anything, like, any spices, and I use this Greek yogurt.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So this
So,
this yogurt.
so Kalindi, we should have some pre-prepared your cooking shows that I know you do a lot of great cooking and we see the recipe. So listeners or watchers who are here today, if you send us an email, we'll include you in the World Vegan Vision group, and Kalendiji at times shares great recipes with us. So that will be another resource that we can have Kalendi share with us.
And one more thing, we don't miss dessert on a whole food plant-based diet, right? Rakesh ji, we always have our dessert. So this is my another way I showed the overnight oats. This
Yes.
similar recipe, I make baked oats and completely whole food plant-based. It is cake. It tastes like cake. If
Wow.
you make it and try it, oh my God, you will never want any other cake than that. So, and a quick dessert at night is a majdool date stuffed with peanut butter or almond butter.
Wow.
It is, you get your fiber, you get your iron, you get your healthy fat. So, you are not missing anything on a whole food. In fact, you're eating more whole, more healthy, and supporting your gut, supporting your brain, a healthy immune system, and overall, you're supporting the planet.
Yep.
Feel good about
Thank you.
yourself, right?
So now I
I-
have Payal, who basically is the hands, eyes, brains here behind this whole operation. So I would like to invite her to offer gratitude to Dr. Bakshi.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your patience and listening very carefully to everything. And Dr. Bakshi, what a amazing stuff, really. Okay, so before we close, I just want to sincerely thank Dr. Bakshi, obviously, for this time and her knowledge and the practical guidance she has given to us. Thank you, all of those participants who are joining and submitting their questions. And we hope this session will inspire you to take the simple and practical steps for the better through whole food plant-based things. And for World Vegan Vision, look forward for bringing this kind of session in
Yes.
every month from now.
Okay.
So we are also going to work on that, and we promise you to come such more programs very soon. You will get notified. And thank you once again. Thank you so much for this wonderful day. Thank you, everyone.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you, Kalindi ji. Thank you,
Namaste.
Payal.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. Thank you,
Thank you.
Payal.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, everybody.